Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and welcome to LifeSpa.com, where we prove the ancient medical wisdom of Ayurveda with modern science. And I want to talk to you today about something called quantum healing. You know, in Ayurvedic medicine, there's an understanding around healing that isn't always mechanical, that there was always this quantum understanding that healing can take place at a much deeper level. The quantum physics tells us today now that everything comes from a field. Many electromagnetic fields kind of join together as a unified field, and that concentrated waves of these fields are in fact the particles that become us. Now, in Ayurvedic medicine, it's understood that when that field becomes us, and that it forgets that it's the field, this is what Ayurveda described as the cause of disease, called pragyaprata, the mistake of the intellect, where the intellect starts to think of itself as separate from the field from which it came. Now, also in Ayurvedic medicine, there's a little bit of a leap. They say that these electromagnetic fields are in fact our consciousness. Many physicists believe that that's in fact the case. Many don't. It's definitely controversial, but it's definitely a current theory that's out there. And Ayurvedic medicine would suggest that when that field of consciousness becomes the body, and the body or mind forgets that it's functioning from that field of consciousness, this is the mistake of the intellect, right? So what's sort of really cool about it was that many of the Ayurvedic healing techniques were designed to bring the body's attention to the place where the field and the physiology or the consciousness and the matter join. Think about it, right? If everything comes from an electromagnetic field or a field of consciousness, and that field becomes physiological matter, at some place there's going to be a junction point between the two where the field and the matter meet, right? And if you could put your attention at that place between where the field and the matter meet, you would then have the awareness of the field and the matter at the same time, and you would therefore have the ability to restore the memory. Ayurveda calls it the smriti, or the memory of pure consciousness in the physiology, where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, where our body, our mind, our ego starts to think of itself as separate, where we start to have these rogue cells, or the mind starts thinking it's something special and greater than and more important than the field of consciousness from where we come. We go from this unity where everything in the field is connected as one to the body where things can start to function independently as parts. And the goal of Ayurvedic medicine was to restore the parts back with the memory of the parts to the whole, so the body can start to function together as one field of intelligence, or at least one field and physiology working together as one. This is the ultimate goal of Ayurvedic medicine. Many derivations of that, but that's one of the very important premises. So many techniques were designed in Ayurveda to bring your attention to the point where the junction point between consciousness and matter. It's a classic Ayurvedic understanding. And there are many techniques that do that. Pulse diagnosis. When you're taking the pulse, it's a wave, yet you're feeling the physiology and the wave. And I've been teaching Ayurvedic pulse diagnosis for many, many years. We have a course you can take that takes you through the understanding of how it can be a technique where bringing your attention to the field and the physiology at the same time. Marma therapy, Ayurvedic massage, meditation, yoga, breathing, all these techniques are designed to bring the body's attention to that place where consciousness and matter, field and physiology meet. Okay, so this has just been theoretical forever, and no one really had any mechanism to understand how in the world that could ever be in any way scientific until recently. There's a discovery of biophotons, which are photons of light that are emitted from our bodies constantly. They live and reside within our DNA. And they are, by definition, a photon is a particle of light and a waveform of light. So by definition, a photon is in fact a particle and a wave that exists at the junction point between field and physiology, or consciousness and matter, if you believe that the field, the electromagnetic fields, the grand unified field theories are in fact consciousness, right? So here we have these photons of light that are emitted from our bodies in a very powerful way. And they found that our bodies not only emit them, but our cells receive them. So these bodies of ours are emitters and receivers. And they've written some articles about the possibility that sort of distance healing techniques could be somehow related to these biophotons. They did one study where they took a rodent and they radiated the brain of the rodent, they put them in a cage, and they put another rodent, a healthy rodent, in the cage with them. 48 hours later, the healthy rodent actually had more radiation damage in their body than the rodent that was irradiated, suggesting, and then when they mapped the mechanism of that, they found that the communication was taking place by biophotons, and it was through biophotons emissions and receiving of the healthy rodent that allowed that rodent to experience the radiation effect, which suggests that these biophotons can communicate at very large distances, from species to species, from animal to animal, from person to person. It's well understood that these biophotons are communication molecules. It can kind of communicate in the speed of light, or at the speed of light, without having any connection. So your toe and your brain can communicate like that instantly through these biophotons. New research has also shown that these biophotons are also affected by meditation and yoga, and certain herbs like ashwagandha and rhodiola, or two herbs in our 5-herbal energy formula. So there are certain things that have been shown to enhance the coherence of the biophoton emittance. Yoga, breathing, meditation, massage, many different techniques, certain herbs, not all herbs, just certain herbs have been studied so far to do this. So it's sort of interesting, and then the final piece of this sort of quantum healing puzzle is that these biophotons seem to be susceptible to intention. So that when you impart intention, like in a meditation or in prayer, you actually can alter these biophotons. And these biophotons have been shown to alter the physical structure. So while this might be still theoretical, we have a potential mechanism for understanding how things like distance healing and self-healing, even the spontaneous remissions that are understood in Western science, the placebo effect, these are all things that are completely not understood in Western science, but now there's a mechanism that is emerging to help us understand that, which I think was sort of a fascinating ancient wisdom, modern science thing, because when you think of the ancient understanding of healing, it was always put your attention at the junction point between consciousness and matter, let the light shine both into the matter and into the consciousness and restore the memory of pure consciousness in every cell of the body. It was all about going to the junction point. Well, photons are particles of light, and they would talk about put the light at the junction point. And these photons are susceptible to our intention, to our love, and they have been shown to change the physiology. And they also are clearly well documented, the communication network of our body that functions at the speed of light. Even Einstein in the early 1930s described the interaction of these photons he called the spooky action at a distance, where these photons, when you observe them or you put intention into them, they can change at vast distances at the speed of light. Across the planet even, light years away even, was his theory. And now we're beginning to see the research coming in suggesting that we have a communication network, not just in our body with nerves and blood and circulation and lymph, that there's a quantum particle and light waveform circulatory mechanism with our biophotons that communicates not only within us and heals us potentially, but also with each other. And it makes us all connected as one. And somehow these biophotons don't look at us as individuals. They look at everything as the field, you, me, everything in this room, all part of that field. At that level, everything is one. We express that field as individuals. Those individuals start thinking of themselves as separate from the field, and Ayurveda says that's when things go wrong. That's the mistake of the intellect. The intellect starts thinking it's separate from the field. The goal of Ayurveda was to bring union, which is what yoga is, between the field and the physiology or consciousness of matter. And the only thing that really can do that we know of in the universe are photons, because they're both particles of light and waveforms at the same time. And they're affected by intention. They're the communication network on our body that travels at the speed of light. And if you could put your attention on those particles, then you shine the light both in, if you think of it as a light in the doorway, shines light into the room and out of the room, into the consciousness and into the physiology, and allows us to bring that memory back so we can start to function as one unit as opposed to a bunch of different parts trying to figure out how to do it all on their own, right? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So this is what quantum healing is. We've all heard the word quantum healing. We talked about spontaneous remission and placebo, which is 32 to 85% effective in studies, which means that it's really effective, kind of a unstudied, ununderstood healing mechanism. And perhaps we now have a mechanism to understand that. I'm writing a lot these days about quantum healing and the juxtaposition of quantum physics and Vedic philosophy. The two really live and breathe together, and we're beginning to just understand how closely they are linked. So stay tuned for more information on that. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and share.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at lifespa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.